A letter was sent to the Biden administration this week begging them to actually restart student loan payments here in the United States. And this letter, of course, came in response to recent comments by Ron Klain from the White House, who said that, yeah, we need to extend the moratorium. And after calls from activist groups and even some lawmakers saying, don't just extend it, get rid of student loan debt altogether. Well, a group of conservative organizations banded together, wrote an idiotic, lie-filled letter demanding that we restart these payments because, gosh darn it, it's so unfair for poor people in the United States if we don't have people paying student loan debt. Before I read their idiotic and completely false statement, the groups include Americans for Tax Reform, who was basically the leader of the letter, the Koch brothers-backed Americans for Prosperity, Freedom Works, Heritage Action for America, the National Taxpayers Union, Consumer Action for a Strong Economy, and the 60 Plus Association. A lot of those, I'm sure, are names of organizations that people know very well because they're some of the worst that the conservative movement has to offer. Corporate-funded, greed-based think tanks on the right whining that, oh, poor people are suffering in the United States and we have to help them by making everybody pay student loans. Here's what the letter says. This policy is fundamentally unfair. A moratorium on student loan payments is unfair to blue-collared Americans who did not rack up tens of thousands of dollars of debt and those who proactively paid off their debt. Many Americans pursued other opportunities instead of going into debt for an expensive 4-year degree. You know what, before I continue, tell me how many people work at your think tanks that don't have a degree or that aren't actively pursuing a degree. Could you do that? I would love to know those numbers, because here you are shitting on people who went to college, and I'm willing to bet every single one of you did. You probably went to some really nice, expensive colleges. But you probably also had your mommies and daddies pay for it, so you didn't have to worry about student loan debt because you're all a bunch of idiot inheritance babies. Continuing. We urge you to resume federal student loan payments. The student loan moratorium is not only regressive and unfair, but it has exacerbated America's inflation problem and contributed to historic out-of-control spending. Two things that aren't even possible, you idiots. Not paying back student loans has zero impact on inflation, and anyone who tells you that it does have an impact isn't smart enough to talk about the economy. Also, out of control spending, we're not spending anything on this, dumbass. We're not spending anything. We're not taking in any revenue, sure, but we're not spending anything. What the hell do you think is happening? And how in God's name did such idiotic individuals get to be employees at so-called think tanks? There's clearly no thinking going on at any of these tanks. I've seen more thinking in fish tanks than what we're seeing coming out of these right-wing, corporate-controlled brain trusts. It's insane what these people are saying. And sure, you know what? There actually is one statistic that kind of backs up half of one thing that they said. And that is that, yeah, most of the student loan debt is held by people who are not considered working class, by white-collar individuals. Do you know why that is? Because they got fancy degrees and then got good jobs with those degrees. That's actually why that happened. So, yeah, that's why we're told all growing up, you have to go to college, you have to go to college. And for the record, you want to talk about student loan debt, but not talk about the fact that colleges have arbitrarily been jacking up their prices by hundreds of percentages in just the last 2 decades? You're going to ignore that completely and act like, oh, college is super affordable, while we again drill into kids' heads that they have to go there or else they're going to end up as ditch diggers, which isn't an insult to them because that's actually a much needed service here in the United States. Either way, these think tanks are idiots. Their talking points are false. They just want to see suffering. You know, I don't remember them sending these letters Every year when we send $14 billion in subsidies to the oil industry, that seems unfair, but they're not sending letters about that. I don't remember them sending these letters when we enacted those 2017 corporate and wealthy people tax cuts, right? Are you guys writing letters about how trickle-down economics is killing the United States? Because let's not forget, even though Biden's been president for over a year, those tax cuts are still in place. That's something a lot of people don't think about. We haven't repealed those tax cuts. They're still there. So why aren't y'all sending letters about that if you really care about fairness and equality? And we don't want one part to benefit when another part doesn't. You're frauds, you're idiots, and you're exposed. Thanks for watching, and if you like what you saw, don't forget to like, comment, share, and most importantly, subscribe to our Ring of Fire channel here.